Hi, this is Gloria, the pink-haired investor realtor from Indianapolis with Ethan, my buyer's agent today. I just wanted to note that he wore a pink t-shirt to match my pink hair today, so that's kind of awesome. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the South neighborhoods, so Fountain Square, Bates-Hendricks, and Old Southside. And then what we think one of the good strategies is for this area is short-term rentals. So we're going to talk about short-term rentals along with Ethan's favorite subject about Indianapolis, which is
Sports.
yes. All right. So you get to talk about sports today. So this will be a fun one. So let me go ahead and share my screen so we can kind of look at a little bit of a map here and kind of tell you what we're doing. All right. So here we are in the middle of downtown Indianapolis. And I have a little screen that needs to collapse there. So here we go. So this is one monument circle, Soldiers and Sailors Monument right in the middle of it. So you kind of see we have our little circle going there. You know that when I talk about our big circle for 465, that kind of goes around the whole area. Fun fact, the guy that designed Washington, D.C. was the mentor for the guy that designed Indianapolis. So it kind of has very similar, where we have the little circle here in the middle. And then we have a grid on the outside, which is northeast, south, sorry, northwest, east, and south streets. And then we have kind of these little angled streets that goes out. That's Mass Avenue. We've kind of talked about that before. Virginia and Indiana go this way. So this is kind of our downtown area. And we're going to come back to that in a little bit. But I want to show you the neighborhoods that we're going to be talking about just on the south side. So you can kind of see all of these are about a 5 to 10 minute Uber drive from downtown. So, and I need to zoom back in just a little bit. Yes, we are great with our technology today. So we're going to talk about Fountain Square, Bates-Hendricks, and Old Southside. Okay, so talking about kind of the culture of them a little bit first. Um, Again, we've told you that Indianapolis is very street by street, very neighborhood by neighborhood. Okay. A lot of times you might get some listings that say, hey, it's near Fountain Square. Well, it might not be as good as Fountain Square. So the exact diameters for Fountain Square are this little triangle. So you've got the railroad tracks here. You have Pleasant Run Creek that is right here, and then the 6570. So what the development, so when Indianapolis started kind of being known for investors about 15 years ago, a lot of the development started right here in Fountain Square. Then it kind of switched over to Bates-Hendricks, and now it's drifting into Old South Side as well. Obviously, the closer you are to downtown, that's kind of the better part, but it's also kind of creeped all the way down to where this railroad tracks is here as well. So those are our good neighborhoods. Oh, I want to tell you about the highways real quick. So if I zoom out just a little bit, okay, you see our 465 circle. 65 comes down from Chicago, and then they are right here by Fountain Square. They kind of join together. 70 comes from Louisville, and then they just this little spot that they're here. Then 70 goes out to the east. 65 goes down to the south. I said that wrong. 70 is coming from St. Louis. 65 is coming from Chicago. 70 goes out to Ohio, 65 goes down to Louisville. So get that straight here. So when we zoom back in, right where the kind of highways, hey, St. Joseph's Brewery is actually a good place. Right here where they intersect here, that's kind of where our neighborhoods are. All right. So let's start with Fountain Square. So first of all, there used to be a show on HGTV called Good Bones. Mina and Karen were a mother-daughter team that did a lot of development here. Now, what they did is not possible anymore. Just a little caveat there. They used to buy houses for under $40,000 at the auction, put about 100 to 150 into them, sell them for over 300,000. In those same neighborhoods, the houses are now selling. The new builds are selling for 6, 7, 800,000. Renovated ones are still selling for 3 to 350, but you're going to be paying 100 to 150 if you can find a house in these neighborhoods that need to be fixed up. So flipping used to be the key here. They're just very oversaturated right now. If you can find a great flip, absolutely do it, but it's a little bit harder. So the first one is Fountain Square. Here is a picture of right in the middle of Fountain Square. You can see the little green fountain there. This building has a restaurant in the bottom. It has duck pin bowling, which is the old-fashioned bowling pins and a wooden ball. and then it has a rooftop bar on top of it as well. So this is they have a theater there. There's lots of good restaurants, um, coffee. Ethan, what's your favorite coffee shop in Fountain Square?
Bovacanti.
Okay, mine
Uh,
too.
it's actually it's starting to turn into a class for Indianapolis, but yeah, Bovacanti is actually really good down there.
So I like the Mayan mocha there. It's like a chocolatey coffee, and then they put cinnamon and a little bit of chili in it just for kick. It's pretty awesome. Obviously, this is a marketing picture, but you can see there's a lot of hiking, biking, walking. This is a very walkable area. Ethan, what do you think kind of the culture is for Fountain Square?
Culture is definitely more of a young professional, young, like I'm talking like newly married, young couple kind of feeling culture over here. So definitely more young professionals coming in this neighborhood. One, price point, two, nightlife. I like to call Fountain Squares Square like a little downtown within downtown. Um, so it brings in a lot of these college graduates from one of the five universities within Indianapolis, or these professionals that want to live and have the city life here into Fountain Square is where they're moving. And buying up this, I would say 90% gentrified neighborhood over the last 15 years. And so, I mean, I'm walking the streets. I mean, we've got the young moms pushing their babies. We got the dads walking their dogs. Like young, okay, I'm 24, so I'm like 26, 27, 28-year olds. We see the running clubs that are getting popular again, running through. You go to the coffee shop, it's filled with young professionals. So that's what
So
you're seeing
again,
here. Yep, go ahead.
all the corporate buildings right downtown here, super easy drive to get there.
Or walk.
Yeah,
It's
biking.
that close.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So then Bates-Hendricks then, Ethan, tell me your feelings on Bates-Hendricks as far as culture first.
So if like Fountain Square's like age college graduate to like 30, I'd add like 5 more years onto that for Bates-Hendricks. Um, definitely more of a quainter feel to a neighborhood, but it still brings in all the people that want the hubbub of social nightlife, of the next door neighbor Fountain Square, of the just North Mass Ave, or all the hubbub right in Indianapolis that's just north. So I probably say like late 20s, early 30s on average is what I see there. I mean, you got your classic people that live there their whole life, but that's typically the culture from what I'm seeing when
So
walking around.
the pictures that I have scrolling here, that's the Bates Hendricks neighborhood website. So you can kind of see like they have community events, they, help in the parks. As far as the types of buildings in Fountain Square, and again, they did a lot of renovations in there. Sometimes they would actually tear down the whole house and they built a nice modern 3-story with like modern angles, that kind of stuff. In Bates Hendricks, that's the actual mansion that's right in the middle of it. In Bates Hendricks, I feel like it's more, they kept the original, like Cape Cod, quaint historical feel of the houses and just modernized them. So that's kind of more what you're going to get in Bates Hendricks. Um, then the next one over, and I don't have a website for is Old Southside. So if you go back to the Good Bones show, and I'm sure you can go find some YouTube clips or something of it, or even just do Google Street View on East Street here, there's literally a whole block that is all houses that have been fixed up from the Good Bones show. At the end of their show, before they left, they said, we're getting priced out of our own neighborhoods of Fountain Square and Bates Hendricks. They were starting to come over into Old Southside. And there's a really cool big white house with copper awnings that every time I go by it, I'm like, oh, that was a Good Bones house. So kind of pretty cool stuff there. Um, let's talk about houses just for a little bit. So, an example of a house in Fountain Square, I actually have one of my investors has one for sale right now that's a triplex, completely modernized up. She made the front 2 units, 2 bedrooms, 2 full baths, and then she made a studio apartment in the back. She's using it for short-term rental. And we'll talk about that in a second. But again, a quick Uber drive to downtown. She averages about 300 a night for the 2 bedroom units and about 100 a night for the studio apartment. But especially that studio apartment, she's like, it's rented out all the time. In Bates Hendricks, I just wanted to tell you, I did do a flip in this neighborhood. Not my finest moment. It was an educational one. So if you ever want that story, I'm glad to tell you the good, bad, and the ugly. But I bought the house for 120. I think I put about $80,000 into it and I sold it for 215,000. So that was a few years ago, but I personally did one in there. And then I'm actually looking at some houses in Bates-Hendricks right now for a guy that's a big Colts fan. And so he wants to buy a house that his family can come to during the Colts games and then rent out as an Airbnb the rest of the time. So that's another strategy that we're looking at in there. Old Southside, I sold one to an investor a couple years ago that it was just a regular single family house for about 250. It had already been fixed up. It was a 3 bedroom, 3 bath. And he's renting it out to college students that go to IU, Indy. So doing a rent by the room with that. So a couple of different strategies that you could use here. Long terms do still work. Flips will work if you can. But again, we think the favorite part of these three neighborhoods is short-term rentals. So I'm going to zoom back in. Basically, in Indianapolis, we do not have a mountain. We do not have an ocean. We're not really a touristy town, but what we do have is, Ethan,
Cornfields
cornfields.
and
Yeah,
sports.
we
Sorry.
do have lots of cornfields
I
too.
made a joke
So
earlier with
you
Gloria about
literally,
cornfields.
I
Yeah,
tell people, like you could be
the
standing in
sports.
the middle of downtown in Monument Circle, go out 15 miles, and you're standing in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah.
So Ethan and I both live on the west side of Indianapolis in Avon and Plainfield, and literally there are cornfields within walking distance within a couple miles of our house. So
Yes.
there are lots of cornfields here. But Indianapolis is known for its, Ethan,
Sports.
sports, that's right.
Yes. Yes.
So let's start with my favorite one. So Ethan, tell us about the WNBA and Caitlin Clark.
Um, so absolutely starting to take off the WNBA, and the reason I believe, from my understanding, is I'm not the biggest WNBA follower, but that the popularity is starting to grow is one of the reasons. Caitlin Clark and the following around her. Drafted a couple years ago from Iowa, absolute college star, and has made a ginormous impact in the WNBA. Um, I mean, for example, the Fever seats were probably selling, $5-10 and just trying to fill up the lower bowl. Well, now they're filling up the whole stadium, and their ticket prices are
Two,
between 50 to
300
exactly.
in the good seats. So
Exactly. So absolutely like a lot of the WNBA impact is coming from the Indiana Fever. Um, yeah.
so I had to start with women's sports, but here we are, Monument Circle. Right here is Gainbridge Fieldhouse, where Caitlin Clark and the WNBA plays. But who else plays there?
Pacers, which I'm
Pacers.
a lot more familiar with. They're also doing really well too. Well, not this last season. It was a purposeful tanking season so that we're looking like a top team in the NBA next year, which will
But we're
bring a
going to get
lot
some
of
good
demand.
drafts. We're
Yeah.
going to have
Yeah.
Tyrese Halliburton back. He's going to be
Yeah.
nice and healthy.
Yeah.
Same thing last year with WNBA. Caitlin Clark got injured at the end, so we kind of didn't finish out the season completely, but
Yeah.
we've got some good players there as well. And
Yep.
then right here, I also want to point out just north of Maryland Street, just across the street from here, they are building a new practice facility for WNBA. So it's one of the hot things that's bringing stuff to town. All right. Then just down a little bit, we have Lucas Oil Stadium, which Colts are meh this year, but still, it's an awesome football stadium. And both Gainbridge, the basketball and the football stadium, are used for a lot more. So last month we had what came to Indianapolis?
Final four, college
Final
basketball
four.
tournament.
Yep. So, and a lot of people said a lot of good things about Indianapolis. They're going to try to come back again. That actually was held in the football stadium, which was kind of weird to see the guys stepping up on the basketball court.
It was
Um,
interesting.
Last summer, they did the Olympic swimming trials there. So they actually built a great big huge swimming pool. I got to go to that one. That was pretty fun. What else do they have here? They have the NFL Combine,
Mhm.
which is the draft. There was something else that they did weird. Lots of concerts. So, like Taylor Swift came to town, she was in Lucas Oil Stadium. But we do have other concert venues as well.
Concerts, other like whether it's college tournaments or even high school tournaments that get played there, specifically at Lucas Oil, but even Cambridge will have basketball high school tournaments hosted there. I don't think they typically have many.
Marching bands, we have the Drum Corps
Yeah,
International for the band nerds. If
yeah,
you want to throw that in
yeah,
there. It's not
yeah,
all, we have lots of sports, but all the stuff that goes with sports too. So
yeah.
then over here is Victory Field, which are they AAA, our baseball?
I think AAA, whatever the league is underneath MLB,
Okay,
because
so
they're the
they're a
feeder
feeder
team for
team
the.
for the Pittsburgh
Yep.
Pirates. Am I right? Sorry.
Yes, you are right.
I bet but I actually do love going to the baseball games. It's very small town feel. Throw your blanket out on the lawn, get baseball tickets. Hot dogs are like they have Dollar Tuesdays or stuff like that. It's a great time for families to come. We go there several times every single summer. The other thing that we were talking about is right here in between off of Kentucky Avenue, um, the Indy 11. So Ethan, tell us about the Indy 11.
So Indy 11 is a recent soccer team that got started up here. They're in it's like it's not the MLS league. It's like one or two classifications below that. But so my think of a minor league sports team for soccer. They're actually talking about moving an MLS team here. But basically, what you're looking at here on the screen is a $1 billion proposed new development of multi-purpose, not just for the soccer team you see in the back, but other multi-use commercial
Retail,
development,
restaurants.
retail, restaurants. Looks like there might be a pool in there that would be used for the city as well. Um, got halted. They were hoping to break ground actually this year, but Indian burial ground was found on site. And so that kind of put a wrench in the plans. And then along with the mayor's kind of been
I don't know, a little
interesting.
bit of politics involved in this that you can
Political,
go
yeah,
Google it
political.
yourself. Yeah. So, sorry, my dog's like wanting me right now, so he can wait 5 minutes here. Back to the map then. So we talked about concerts. So White River State Park has an amphitheater that hosts a lot of good concerts there. We also have a good concert venue on the north end of town called Ruoff Music Center. Um, Other sports, so like we said, we had the Final Four. The NCAA has their headquarters right in Indianapolis. So we get a lot of Big Ten championships, a lot of college stuff are here. And because we have so many restaurants and bars and things like that within walking distance, very popular there. Our big sport, though, is just to the west a little bit. But again, you know, Fountain Square Bates-Hendricks, still right here, 5 to 10. And then if we go out just a little bit more, here's the Indianapolis Speedway. Okay. Again, 15-minute drive from these neighborhoods. So I just pulled up the IMS website. Look at all the stuff going on. So we will probably have to do another whole episode just on the Indy 500, but it is the largest sports venue in the world. Actually, it seats 300,000 people. And if you think about it, Indianapolis population is about 1.2 million, so bring in 300,000 extra people. That takes up a lot of hotel space. So all of the hotels, Airbnbs, people even move out of their houses and let race car drivers rent their house for the month of May, all completely booked during Memorial Day weekend when the Indy 500 is. But they're also looking to try to do a different thing. So during the month of May, there's different qualifying days, there's concerts, there's all kinds of different stuff going on the whole month of May. Looks like we get a Grand Prix here this year, May 8th to 9th. That's a little bit different. Brickyards in June, but like I said, month of May is Indianapolis time, and it's a big favorite here. So that's what would work for short-term rental is all of the sports stuff. And so that's we don't aren't a touristy town, but we have so much sports stuff going on in town. That's what you would want to turn your Airbnbs, Verbos, short-term rentals into. And Fountain Square, Bates-Hendricks is a really good area for that because of its close proximity to everything. So, anything to add to that, Ethan?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically what you said. Think of Indianapolis not as a destination spot, but as an event spot. Yes, mostly sports, and we're talking all the way from the professionals to high school levels, to good locations. We didn't even talk about the convention center yet. So the
Yep,
convention center with all those
I just
events,
remember
but
that.
also these stadiums bring in all these other music events. Or Gloria went to a comedian the other day, Nate Bargatze. So we're called the Crossroads of America because of our destination, and that's why a lot of people want to one move here and live here, but also two want to host here and have their events here as well.
Yeah,
So
I
think of
just
us as
remember
an
the
event
convention
spot.
center too. So
Yep.
we're again because we're so centrally located, we're not like New Orleans or Orlando or some of the bigger places, Las Vegas. But because we're so centrally located, we get a lot of the local companies or smaller companies like Future Farmers of America, the Firefighters Association. We have a big Gen Con and Comic Con every year. We had the World food championships here.
Mhm.
Again, and then when these other big events come, like the Olympic swimming trials, they take over the convention center. When we had the Final Four, the convention center had all kinds of stuff going on all day long for families. So convention center is booked a lot. So that would be another good reason for Airbnb. So anything else you want to add about Indianapolis and the sports stuff and why we think these neighborhoods would be good for short term?
No, I mean we pretty hit it on the nail on the head. I mean, there's other sports teams not even in here or other event centers that we have included. This is just the heart of Indianapolis. There's
Hmm.
more going around, whether it's on the north side or west side, and other sports. We could talk about this for literally hours. So if you have more questions, I mean, my Calendly link is calendly.com/, I think it's Ethan Price dash KW. Gloria's is the gear group. We'll throw our contact information in what's the description below or whatever, where you can reach out to us. Always happy to talk. Schedule a time on there. We would love to talk and talk in more detail.
So obviously we love Indianapolis where we live, very much a small city, big town type feel.
Mhm.
Lots of stuff going on. And especially like Fountain Square, Bates-Hendricks, and Old Southside. They're just kind of the heart of the neighborhood. So my dog Tommy is saying goodbye too. So have a great day. Again, reach out if you have any questions about anything about Indianapolis. Thank you. Could get stuck. But I am
Oh,
sure